After the Chinese Civil War, there were two governments claiming to be the legitimate government of China. The first one is the People's Republic of China, established by the Communist Party under the leadership of Mao Zedong. The other one is the Republic of China, which retreated to the island of Taiwan after being defeated by the Communists in the Civil War. So, why did the United Kingdom return Hong Kong to the People's Republic of China and not the Republic of China instead? To answer this question, first we must understand how Hong Kong became British. In the early 19th century, Chinese goods were very valuable in Europe. However, China showed little interest in Western manufactured goods. They preferred payment in silver instead. China's silver-based economy was draining Britain's resources. To fix this trade imbalance and the outflow of silver, the British East India Company began to smuggle opium into China. The British would sell opium to get payment with silver and use that silver to get tea, silk, and porcelain. The Qing dynasty in China tried to suppress the opium trade due to the increasing number of opium addicts in the country. Naturally, China was worried about opium's social and economic effects on the Chinese population. Tensions escalated when the Chinese authorities seized and destroyed opium stocks held by British merchants in Guangzhou, also known as Canton. In response, Britain deployed military forces to the region. This was how the First Opium War broke out. The war ended with a British victory, and the Treaty of Nanking was signed in 1842. Under this treaty, Hong Kong Island was ceded to Britain in perpetuity, which means with no expiry date. After the Second Opium War, the Kowloon Peninsula and the Stonecutters Island were given to Britain in 1860, and in 1898, Britain negotiated a 99-year lease of the new territories. So, in summary, Britain received Hong Kong Island in 1842, the Kowloon Peninsula in 1860, and the new territories in 1898. Hong Kong quickly developed as a trading port due to its strategic location and natural harbor. It is located on the Pearl River Delta in southern China, and this area is home to many large trade cities, such as Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Dongguan, Foshan, and the Portuguese colony of Macau. The British administration in Hong Kong built infrastructure such as roads, schools, hospitals, and a legal system based on the British law. The University of Hong Kong was established in 1911. Today, it is one of the best universities in the world. During the Second World War, Hong Kong was occupied by Japan. The invasion began on December 8, 1941, just hours after the attack on Pearl Harbor. Despite strong resistance from British, Indian, Canadian, and local Hong Kong forces, the Japanese army defeated the defenders. The battle lasted 18 days, and Hong Kong fell to the Japanese on December 25, 1941, a date known as Black Christmas. Simultaneously, the Chinese Civil War was taking place between the nationalist Kuomintang and the Communist Party of China. The Civil War began in 1927. But they stopped fighting in 1937 in order to fight against Japan. However, after Japan's defeat in 1945, the Civil War resumed in full force. The war continued until 1949, when the Communists won, which led to the establishment of the People's Republic of China on October 1, 1949, while the Kuomintang forces retreated to Taiwan. Hong Kong, under British rule, remained a relatively stable and prosperous haven compared to the mainland. By 1957, a third of Hong Kong's population were refugees. In the 1950s and 1960s, similar to many other parts of the world, left-wingers and right-wingers in Hong Kong had a period of political violence. Nationalists, who were supporters of Kuomintang, were clashing with leftist supporters of the Communist Party of China. With a stalemate imposed on the Chinese Civil War, set in the wider context of the Cold War, Hong Kong found itself unwittingly caught up in the continuing struggle between the Chinese Communists and the Kuomintang. Under British rule, Hong Kong developed a special cultural identity based on a mix of Western and Eastern influences. They even developed a distinct accent in English. Baker coined the term Hong Kong man and Hong Kong woman to describe this distinct social identity emerging in Hong Kong. This identity was unique, because a Hong Kong man or a Hong Kong woman is neither fully Chinese or completely British. This unique social identity created a problem when 1997 approached, which was the end date of the 99-year lease signed in 1898. A survey conducted in 1984 showed that 69% of Hong Kong preferred status quo, which was the British rule. 11% wanted Hong Kong to be an independent country, 9% wanted to remain under British administration with Chinese sovereignty, 5% preferred Hong Kong to be a special economic zone of China, 3% wanted Hong Kong to be returned to China, and the other 3% said they didn't know what they wanted. As I mentioned before, there were supporters of Taiwan in Hong Kong. They organized in trade unions, newspapers, and political parties. So, why didn't Britain hand over Hong Kong to Taiwan? After all, the treaty that gave Hong Kong to Britain is currently located in the National Palace Museum in Taiwan. Well, the first reason is because the United Kingdom recognized the PRC in 1950, which means that it was one of the first countries to recognize the Communist government of China as the legitimate government. When the United Nations was first founded, the legitimate government of China was recognized as Taiwan, but in 1971, the UN voted to recognize the Beijing government as China. After the Republic of China left the United Nations, the Taipei government and the pro-nationalist forces had less prestige in the Chinese community. And in 1984, Britain signed the Sino-British joint declaration with the PRC. So they agreed that the United Kingdom will transfer Hong Kong's sovereignty to the People's Republic of China. This further weakened pro-Taiwan forces in Hong Kong. These are the reasons why Britain returned Hong Kong to the People's Republic of China instead of Taiwan. In conclusion, the decision to return Hong Kong to the People's Republic of China was driven by geopolitical realities and existing diplomatic recognitions. A transfer of Hong Kong to Taiwan would have been extremely difficult and unrealistic. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more history and political content.